our encore presentation of Get on the Road with Google Drive. I'm Susan, joined by Rachel. We'll be your trainers today. If you were on with us 2 days ago, welcome back. If this is your first webinar, we're glad to have you. Going through some of the intro material again, and so just for those of you on the webinar, you are muted. As always, we welcome your questions. You can ask your questions by typing into the question panel. You can also raise your hand, and then we can unmute your telephone line or microphone. You have two audio options, either use telephone or use mic and speakers. You can choose whichever one you would prefer. That's me on the left, Susan Netz, also joined by Rachel Holtz. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, everyone.
We'll be going back and forth today, talking to you about Google Drive. So in case you don't know who we are, we're LTech. We are your Google Apps premier enterprise reseller. So we're one of only 6 premier resellers in North America. We help with the entire Google Apps process, from deployment, data migration, training, change management, support. We build products that integrate with Google Apps. We can help you make referrals for you to products that integrate with Google Apps. So if you have any questions about Google Apps or just your business cloud needs in general, we are the people you should call, LTech. This monthly webinar that we do, brought to you by the LTech Training and Change Management Department. When we see change management, it's part of the entire Google Apps process. The most effective Google Apps deployments have well thought out communication, training, support, and change management strategies. So we help with developing those strategies and plans. We do webinars, on-site training, e-learning, train the trainers, and we do these monthly client webinars. So here's our agenda today, what we're going to go over. We really want to focus on sort of the transition from Docs to Drive and what you get with Google Drive that you didn't have with Google Docs, and how to work with the Google Drive folder and understand some of these new navigational elements like My Drive and Shared with Me. So this is what we're going to be talking about on the webinar today. So I want to start. I'm going to pass it over to Rachel, who's just going to tell us, well, what is Google Drive?
Thanks, Susan. So Google Drive is a tool that enables you to sync your files automatically from your PC or your Macintosh to your personal drive in the cloud. So really now your files can go anywhere that you go. If you change any file on the web or on your computer, on your mobile device, it will update on every device where you've installed Google Drive. So it really makes sharing, collaborating even easier. So it becomes a single place where you can store and share up-to-date versions of your files, and that's important. It's going to be the most updated versions of anything you're working on at any time. And again, as always, you can access them from anywhere. So you get up to 5 gigabytes of storage with Google Drive. And I wanted to end this sort of segment with what Google calls, how they describe Google Drive. So in their words, it's you really now can store everything and share anything. So Google Drive is a way that you can really share files without having to attach files. There's no need to attach files anymore, because any up-to-date current files you're working on, you'll just put it to the Google Drive, and that will automatically sync and be available online for you to access, and for others to access as well.
And so, Rachel, Google Drive still includes all of the features of Google Docs, right, like creating documents and spreadsheets?
Yes, for sure. And, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the new features that Google Drive offers, even in the online view. When you're looking at Google Drive online now, there's some added features. But the nice thing about Google Drive is now you have the ability to actually sync files from your computer, and that's a really new addition to what Google Docs used to be. So in addition to having your files online and being able to share and collaborate, now you can really use your computer and be dragging files from your computer and then using using the Google Drive on your computer as your up-to-date drive as a connection to the online version of your files as well.
Okay, well, let's take a look at this. So I want to start by talking to you about how to turn Google Drive on. So the way that Google Drive is being rolled out, it's similar to the way that Google Apps rolled out the new interfaces for Mail and Calendar last year, where it became opt-in, then it became the default and users could opt out, and then it just became permanent. So it's a sort of a slow transition. And right now, Google Drive is opt-in. So if you, for all domains, all Google Apps domains, if you want to opt in, you just go to drive.google.com/a/yourdomain.com and sign in. So I have already opted into Google Drive, but I'm going to show you what it looks like to opt in again. So I'll go to drive.google.com, and in this case, I'm going to go to this other domain I have, Stu.0. Sign into another account. There we go. And when I get to this page, I'll click Get Started, and that's how I'll opt into Google Drive. And so I've now opted into Google Drive on this account. I'll see this welcome screen. And I have now switched from, looks like actually it shows me still in Google Documents. If you see that, just click on the gear here and choose Return to Drive. Okay. So I've now opted into Google Drive. So next time this refreshes, instead of saying Documents, it will probably say Drive. Like up here, I know I've opted into Drive with my collaboration account because it says Google Drive. Now, once you've opted into Drive, if you decide, hey, I'm not quite ready for this, I want to return to the Google Docs view, you can click on the gear and choose Temporarily Use the Classic Look. And that'll return you to the classic look of Google Documents. And then if you want to go back to Google Drive, you click on the gear and choose Return to Drive. So once you opt in, you'll have this, you'll be able to go back and forth. Then eventually, Google has not shared the date yet, but Google Drive will become the default. People can then opt out. And then the final step is Drive will completely replace Google Docs. So Google Docs will be gone and everybody will be on Google Drive. So a quick poll question for those of you on the webinar. Have you turned on Google Drive for your own account? Meaning, have you opted in? And you know you'd opted into Google Drive because you would see Drive up in the black bar navigation. And it looks like everybody on this webinar has opted in, so good for you, early adopters, and Bob told us he opted in just now. Okay, so that's how you opt into Google Drive. Want to compare Google Drive and Google Docs, so what stayed the same, what's changed, and what's new. So let's start with what stayed the same. So here's what stayed the same in Google Drive. Even though if you switch to Google Drive, here's what's the same. So you still have the red Create button for creating new documents, presentations, spreadsheets, forms. The search area, the search box, and the filters here, this is the same. This has not changed. Also, your sharing options. When you select a doc and you choose Share, or if you have the doc open and you choose Share, the sharing settings, so the ability to change the visibility or add people as editors and viewers, that has not changed either. Okay, what has changed? Your left-hand navigation over here has changed. You no longer have the home area. You now have My Drive and Shared With Me, which we'll talk about in a moment. Also, what has changed is that you now have a new option to download a Google Drive folder, sync file to all of your, a sync folder to all of your devices. So open up here's my Google Drive folder. So this is new. You can now add a sync folder. Some new features that you didn't have in Docs that you now have in Drive is the ability to add a doc to a folder when the doc's open. So I have this image, I have this folder here. I can now add a doc to a folder right from within the doc screen. Before, if you wanted to add a doc to a folder, you would have to select it in Google Drive and choose the folder. Other new features, we now have this grid view where you can see a preview of all of your docs, either the folder or preview of the actual doc or the list view. So if you're more of a visual person, the grid view may work better for you. Another new feature is, where did that go? Oh, we've got some new settings in the settings menu. This has changed a bit. We have a new setting called Upload Settings and Manage Apps. And then finally, one change is that full collections. In Google Docs, you had what were called collections, and this was funny because they looked like folders and acted like folders. Now we just call them folders. So you'll see in the Create menu, instead of saying Create a Collection, it now says Create a Folder. And these folders that you have either in My Drive or shared with me, these are actually now called folders. So those are some differences. Now Rachel's going to talk a little bit about the My Drive section and the Shared with Me section.
So My Drive is what used to be the home view. So in Google Docs, you had this home view. You can think of My Drive as the new home view. And it's the area where you're going to be syncing to your computer. So that Google Drive folder that's now going to be on your computer, which Susan reviewed a little bit earlier how you install that, and now you have this Google Drive. It looks, it's on a Macintosh. She's showing it on a Mac. It would just look like another folder on your computer, and in the PC, it's going to be under, I think, your C drive. So My Drive is basically refers to anything that's in that folder. And so it's whatever is going to be syncing from your computer to your online Google Drive. And anytime you update a file or folder in My Drive on the web, the changes from My Drive will be mirrored on your computer in that version in your local drive on your computer. So they're really going to be mirroring each other at any time. What you're looking at should be the most up-to-date version of what you have online and in that folder on your computer. So what's included in My Drive is any Google Docs that you own and files that you've synced or uploaded, also folders that you've created and synced and uploaded, and anything that was shared specifically with you will be added to My Drive. So anything that someone specifically shared with your email address will show up in My Drive.
Rachel, I'm not sure that last part is correct. I think what you mean is any files that people have shared with you that you drag into My Drive.
Sorry, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, that's correct. So anything that was shared with you, anything that's shared with you that you move into My Drive will then appear in My Drive. So that's important. That's an important distinction. I'm sorry sorry for any confusion, but anything that you own and that you've synced will automatically be in My Drive, and then any files that you don't own that were shared with you, you have to move into My Drive in order to see them in that area. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, so Rachel, if I was taking notes in a meeting and I created a new doc called Meeting Notes, that would be in My Drive, right?
Yes.
But if you created the doc called Meeting Notes and shared it with me, that wouldn't be in My Drive.
That wouldn't be in My Drive. It would be in the Shared With Me area, and you'd have to drag it to My Drive, which is really easy to do when you're online. But yeah, it would not automatically appear in My Drive because it's not something that you created yourself or uploaded or put in that folder yourself. So if it's not something that you created or moved, it will appear, and it's something that someone else created and shared with you, it'll appear in actually the Shared With Me area. And
okay,
yeah,
okay, good. Why don't we talk about the Shared With Me area? What is this shared? Because this is a new section. What is Shared With Me?
So Shared With Me is where you will find any items that have been shared specifically with you. So someone would have had to put in your email address in order for any files to appear in the Shared With Me area. And so what's important to note about this is that it won't include any files where someone has shared a link, so anyone with the link, so if anyone with the link was selected in the share settings, that file won't actually appear under shared with me because it wasn't shared specifically with you. And that's true for public too. If someone makes a file public, anyone can view it. That won't exist in shared with me. It actually goes into a separate category called all items. So, and that's something Susan can show. There are these different categories now. They're shared with me, and if you expand, you see all items. And this would include everything, but would also include all those files that were shared but not shared specifically necessarily with you, which would appear under the shared with me. So, so that's sort of the distinction between my drive and shared with me, and then anything else will be in the all items area. And you view information, you can change the way you view it, but the default typically is the last time a file was modified.
Or I think in the shared, so in my drive, your sorting options are, I think you're right, it's the last modified with me is the default, but you can change the way docs in my drive are sorted. Perhaps you could sort by title if you're looking for a doc by title, or when you were the last person to edit. And then in shared with me, the sorting options are share date or title.
Sounds good. And then unless something shared with you is stored in my drive, it won't sync. Because remember, the my drive is your connection to your Google Drive folder on your computer. So anything in shared with me that isn't in my drive will not sync. So you need to drag it to the my drive area in order to be able to see it in the Google Drive folder.
Okay, let's take a look at that Google Drive folder. So when I'll come back here and talk about that Google Drive folder. So when you first log into Drive, you'll need to install the Drive folder on every computer that you want to have files sync to and from. So I'm using my main laptop right now. I do want to install a Google Drive folder on that laptop. So I select Download Google Drive, this link here. Now I'm on a Mac, so it's going to run me through the process of installing an application on the Mac. If you're on a PC, it will run you through installing a .exe file. I'm not going to go through that installation because I already have it installed. But when the installation is completed, you'll see this Google Drive application on the Mac. It will be at the top right. And on a PC, it will be in your system tray on the bottom right. So if I click on this link here on the application, I have some options here. One, I can open my Google Drive folder. And when I do that, it shows me my Google Drive folder. Here it is. It just got installed on my computer in a folder called Google Drive. On a PC, I think we've got a picture of that. On a PC, it gets installed. You'll find it if you go to your browser. I forget the name of this now on a PC. I think Windows Explorer. I believe you'll see a folder called Google Drive. Now, the first time you click on this application, you may be asked to log into your account. So I can see I'm logged into my account here. If you're not logged in, you can select Preferences, and you should be able to sign into an account here. You can only be connected to one account at a time. This may be something that Google changes in the future, but right now you need to choose one account to associate with your sync folder. So this folder on my computer, Google Drive, is synced with my SMET, the Collaboration Corporation account. And as Rachel said, everything in Google Drive in this folder is what I would find in my drive. If I make a change in my drive, that will be updated in this Google Drive folder. So I'll show you an example. Let's take a look at this self-grading quiz. I open this self-grading quiz, and I'm going to change the name just to self-grading quiz. Okay, I made a change. Now every few minutes, my Google Drive will sync. Actually, less than once every few minutes. It's about a few times a minute. So I should see this spin in just a moment when it's syncing. or maybe it happens so quickly that we don't see it. When I open my Drive folder, after this next sync, this name copy of self-corrected should change to the new name. So I'll just give that a second to sync. Oh, there it goes. It's syncing, and let's see what happens. Move out of there for a moment. Okay, I'll change this to date modified. There it is. So the name of that spreadsheet changed. Okay, let's look at a sync a different way. I'm going to edit a doc that I have in my Google Drive. I think I have one called Menu. It's a menu I'm working on. When I open this up, it opens up on my computer. And I'm going to make a change here to Monday. Turns out our restaurant is now closed Monday. Okay, when I save this, it's saved in my Google Drive. That's where it's stored. So I saved it to Google Drive. And so next time this syncs, I can see it syncing right now. It might be hard to see, but there are these two blue lines. So this is syncing to the My Drive folder here. And when I open up this menu, I should see the update here. Except I wasn't able to see it. Let's try that again. And it may be because I edited it in text edit instead of Microsoft Word. So here it comes. Okay, so now it says closed Monday. So that's how the syncing works. It's a bi-directional sync. So if I make a change to anything in the Google Drive folder, that will be updated in the My Drive folder and vice versa. So pop quiz here. What happens if I delete a file from the Drive folder on my computer? What will happen after the next sync? Will that file also be deleted from my Drive? Will it be reinstated and appear in the Drive folder? Will it be just deleted from my computer but stay in my Drive? Or will I get an error message? So what do you think will happen? What do you think will happen, Rachel? I think you actually know the answer.
I think everyone got the answer right on this. I think we've got a good group here today. Yes, yeah. File will be deleted from my Drive as well. That's correct.
Okay, and I learned something yesterday that I didn't know, which it makes me feel a little better about deleting things. So I've got this headshot here. If I delete this from my Google Drive, so I delete that from Google Drive, it's been deleted. Next time this syncs, it's going to be deleted from my Drive. So it's syncing. And now I realize I want to get that file back. I didn't mean to delete it. I can go into the trash in my Drive, and it's listed here. And so then I can restore it. So that's a nice thing to know if you did delete and you didn't mean to delete, that things go into the trash. And they stay here actually until you permanently delete the trash, if that makes you feel any better. Questions about what I just showed with the Google Drive. That's a really new feature, and that's what Rachel was talking about when she was explaining Google Drive. So any questions so far about that Google Drive? You can type your question into the question panel, or you can raise your hand. Okay. Let's see, we have a question. Okay, Liz says, is there an app for iPad for Google Drive? That's a good question, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. We're going to talk about mobile apps. In the meantime, let's talk about, find my presentation again, that this Google Drive on your computer, what the different file types mean. And Rachel, do you mind talking to this?
No, not at all. I think it's important just to mention this because you'll see in the Google Drive there are these different extensions. And so anything with the G in the extension, file extension, means that that's a Google doc format. So when if Susan was to double click and open up that file, what it does is it would take her to the file online. So now she's in her browser and she's working on this within Google Drive online, right? Because there's no software to let you view this on your computer that's not, Google Docs and Google Drive is an online formatting suite. So those G extensions refer to Google Docs, and the GDoc, G-Sheet, G-Slides, G-Draw, those by those extensions that those are all the Google Drive, Google Docs formatted files. Anything else will appear as it normally would, so JPEGs or Word or any other sort of Office type documents will appear in those formats, and those you'll be able to open up on your computer and edit on your computer. But again, anything you're opening up in that Google Drive format will open up a browser, and you'll be actually editing and updating it in the browser. So I just think that's something important when you're looking at those file formats to understand.
Thanks, Rachel. So anything that has this G in the file extension, that opens my browser. But what would happen if I open this PDF? That should open on my computer. Click on it, and that does indeed, because I have a PDF application on my laptop, it opens there instead of online. So that has some implications for offline usage. If you're offline and you open your Google Drive folder, let's go back up here. If you're offline and you open your Google Drive folder, meaning you're not connected to the internet, you should have no problem opening these things like images or PDFs. That's fine, but you won't be able to edit. You won't be able to edit the Google Docs offline. So let's talk about enabling offline usage so that you can at least view the Google Docs offline and sync changes you made offline online. So Rachel, how do we install the offline tool?
You would do that by going into Google Drive when you're online, and yeah, going into that gear icon with the settings, and I think it's there where you can install. I think you should have an option to install.
Oh, I'm in email. That's why. Okay.
Yeah, set up Docs offline. So that's what you want to select. And once you select that, okay, so maybe you can only do that for one account, right? One user per account.
I set this up with my other account, so I'm not able to enable. So this is something new that we learned. You can only enable offline for one account.
Right. Susan, maybe you want to show what the new, I think it's in that new Chrome window that you get the option for Google Docs. So we can just see if that comes up when you're in, because typically what would happen is the way that it would work is you would open up Chrome still and be able to just view the document online and not be able to edit it, but at least you could still view it and reference it even if you weren't connected to the internet.
Okay, so I'm sorry, it looks like we can't show the offline editing, one, because I am online, and two, because I have it set up with another account. But the way that, again, just to repeat what Rachel said, that for Google Docs and spreadsheets, you'd be able to view them offline but not edit them. So they'd open up in the browser if you double-clicked on them, and you'd be able to view, but you could edit other things offline, and then when you got back online, it would sync. If you're not seeing that option to enable Docs offline, it may be that your Google Apps administrator has not enabled that for your domain yet. That would be another reason why you wouldn't be able to see the offline feature. But it should be under here, gear, I guess this gear, set up Docs offline. Okay, let's take a look now I just want to mention Google Drive and Cloud Connect. So Cloud Connect is a tool Google came out with a few years ago that allowed it installed bar within Microsoft Office applications where you could sync files directly from Microsoft Office to your Google Docs account. Now, it wasn't exactly a drive or other things on your desktop. It was just a way to sync files between Microsoft Office and Google Docs. Now, if you're using Google Drive, it is not compatible with Google Cloud Connect. So you'll need to sign out of Google Cloud Connect or even uninstall Google Cloud Connect in order to use Google Drive. So if you're considering turning on Google Drive and you've been using Cloud Connect, you'll need to uninstall or sign out of Google Cloud Connect. Okay, regarding storage space, with Google Drive, you get 5 gigabytes of storage space. With Google Docs, how much did you have, Rachel? I think only 1 gigabyte.
Yeah, I want to say 1 gigabyte.
Yes, you now have 5 times more storage. And here's what counts against your storage. So any file that you upload to Google Drive counts against the storage. However, documents, spreadsheets, presentations, anything in that Google format do not count against your 5 gigabytes. You can see how much storage you're using by clicking on the Drive icon. I can see I'm using 0.04 gigabytes or 1%. You can also see how much storage you're using when you're in Google Drive by clicking on the Upload button, and it shows you how much space you're using. If you want to know which files are taking up a lot of space when you're in the My Drive, click on the Sort button and choose Quota Used. And this will organize by how large the docs are. So my largest doc is 1 megabyte. So when you sort by quota used, you can see if there are some large files, usually video files, that you might want to delete or remove from Drive if they're taking up a lot of space. With Google Apps, you can buy additional storage for your users as little as 20 gigabytes up to 16 terabytes. And once you buy the additional storage, you can allocate it out to your users. So you could allocate some users maybe another 5 gigabytes, maybe some user would get 30 gigabytes, so you can decide which user gets how much storage space. And it's a monthly fee for the storage space. If you have questions about this, you can contact LTech, either your salesperson or contact@ltech.com. We can give you a quote here. This is about the monthly price. So if you wanted to buy 200 gigabytes, it's $17.50 per month. And again, you can allocate this throughout your domain. Okay, mobile apps. So we've talked about how you can sync Google Drive to your PC or your Mac, but what about mobile? Take it away, Rachel.
So for mobile, it looks like there's an application, a mobile app available for the Android, and that's for Android phone and tablets. Unfortunately, as of right now, there's no app yet for the iPhone or iPad. We think that's probably coming, but if you are using your iPhone or iPad, you can actually just access Google Drive through the browser. So the way that you would access your mail and your calendar, you can also access Google Drive using a browser on either the iPhone or iPad. But this image is something taken from to show you what it looks like on an Android device.
And so Liz, if you just go to your iPad, you open Safari and go to drive.google.com and sign in. If you're online, you'll be able to actually edit your documents and your documents and spreadsheets, and you'll be able to view all of your docs, but you'll be able to edit the docs and spreadsheets from the iPad or from the iPhone. But the only actual app is for the Android right now. Okay, something else new with Google Drive is the ability to actually associate your Google Drive with other online applications like image editor, video editor, faxing, e-signing, project management, and you can actually launch these applications from Google Drive. So I'll show you what that looks like. So notice when I click Create and More, I am now able to add additional apps to my account. And I had a little issue getting this started 2 days ago, so we'll try it again. So one example of these apps I can add, this only works in Chrome, is this Lucid Chart. It's this diagramming application for flowcharts. So I click Launch App. I'm going to now associate that with my account. And so some new flowcharts. This is what the app looks like. Okay, so I'll just, not a very complicated process here. How do we, just need to learn more about how to use this actual chart here. But if I were to exit out of this, the new chart that I created should now be listed in the My Drive area. Let's see if it made it in there. Okay, I'm going to log in with my LTech account because I know it's associated. You know, I'm set up with my LTech account. So let me just sign in there. Okay, so when I click this Create button and I choose More, I see I now have these different apps associated. So there's that Lucid Chart diagram. So I could launch this app right here from Google Drive. So the app opens. I don't need to sign in again. I don't need to remember another username and password. This is just associated with my Google Apps account. And I call this my org chart. And so I have this org chart that I'm creating now. And I'll make some changes here. And I'll exit out of here. And now I can easily access that file again because it's saved here in my drive. So I can click my org chart, and there it is. And it opens it back up. I could then even share this with Rachel or with a coworker. So not only do I have documents and spreadsheets and presentations, I've also got these other associated apps. So I know a lot of people do contracts, sending contracts back and forth. There's an app called DocuSign. You go to Get More Apps again. This takes me to the Chrome Web Store. And so DocuSign lets you do digital signatures right from Google Drive. So I'll just show an example of adding DocuSign to Google Drive. And now if I click on the Create, it should be there in the More menu in just a moment. And again, this is new, so it doesn't always work exactly as we planned. Okay, DocuSign was added to Google Drive. Great. That works a lot of the time, right? So just refreshing.
Yep, it should work.
So now I can go into DocuSign here. And I will need to create an actual account here. So I'll go ahead and create an account. They've already filled in my information for me. Okay, now I'm going to add a document that I want to sign. So I click Add Document, choose from Online Document. This is going to pull in my Google Docs account. Okay. Box. We want Google Docs. Oh, look, it even has the org chart I just created. Okay. So now I could create a contract here. Let's say I'm going to create a new document, and I'll call this Rachel Contract. And let's say this is filled in with some information now for this contract that I need Rachel to sign. I'm going to go back and choose Document. pull in my most recent one. There it is, Rachel contract, okay. So this is going to upload here. Okay, so it's pulled up the contract, and there's not much here, but I want to add a signature field in. So here is where Rachel will sign this, I believe. We might need to do a little more testing on this one. I wonder if they have echo signs, but what should happen is it should be able to add this signature block. All right, it got a little too complicated for me, but there is integration between these apps and Google Drive. Just one other example here, a lot of people ask about faxing. There's an app that integrates, it's called I believe it's called Hello Fax, that you can add, and this will let you send a doc from your Google Docs list and then fax it. You just add the doc and choose the fax number, and this will fax it out. And the nice thing about these apps is you get a description of how they work, and you can read other people's reviews of these applications. And all you do to add is you click Add to Chrome, and that will add it to Chrome, your Chrome browser, and it will be available in my Drive. When you choose Create and More, it should be there next time we refresh. There we go. Again, we can launch Hello Fax. Maybe this will be easier than the e-signing. So we want to fax the document. And when I click More, it lets me choose a file from Google Drive. I'll choose this PDF that I want to fax. And then I just enter the fax number or an email address, and I can send it. And I believe there's some different pricing plans for this. You get so many faxes or pages for free, and then you may need to pay for some additional ones. But again, this is all integrated in Google Docs and Google Drive. So any questions about the adding additional applications or what we've shown with the mobile app or offline?
That activity stream is also new, isn't it? This activity link on the left-hand side under More.
Yes, I'm going to go back into my collaboration account to show that.
Yeah, I think that's a good one to show. It sort of shows you the space will be the stream of activity on all the items in your Google Drive, so you can see what's been updated, and looks like you can sort by, you can just sort of see what's last been modified in that long list.
And so activity are things you've updated and others have updated as well. So it's almost like a Facebook newsroom. You can see what's going on in Google Drive, what people are working on. It looks like Jason was working on this contract template. I'm working on the webinar. I can say I just made a change to that menu. If you have a file that you don't want to show up in the activity stream, you can select that file, and from the More menu, choose Don't Show an Activity List, and then that will be hidden from the activity list. So you used to be able to hide things from the home screen, and now you can hide things from the activity list.
And I remember someone asked Susan about adding a subfolder and how you do that, just because now it looks a little different, or at least it's called something different from collections.
Sure. So whenever you're in a folder, like here is this team project folder, to add a subfolder, I just click this button here, new folder within team project, and I'll call this marketing. And that new folder, that subfolder in the team project automatically takes on the sharing settings of the top level folder. I could change that if I want by clicking share, and then I can make a change to the subfolder sharing, but it inherits the top level sharing status. Let's look at the control panels for Google Drive. So if you're a Google Apps administrator, you will want to check your control panel settings for Google Drive. So I'll go on into my control panel. And I now have a new section called Drive and Docs. It used to just be called Docs. So this isn't new. You can decide the highest level of sharing settings, if users can share documents outside the organization. What is new is if you want to allow users to enable offline docs. I mentioned that earlier, that your Google Apps administrator needs to enable this tool to use the offline feature. You can decide on a global level if you will allow your users to sync files from Drive to their Mac or PC. If you don't want to allow that syncing, you'd uncheck this. And if you want to allow them to install the Google Drive applications, those were those apps that I just showed you where you went to the Create menu and more. You can restrict your users from installing those apps if you would like. So to get help with Drive or find out about the updates to Drive, there is a Drive Help Center. I'd call it kind of still a work in progress, but you can get there by clicking the gear and selecting Help. And this should open up the Google Drive Help Center. So there's some getting started, information about storage and pricing, how it works with the Google Drive folder. And then here's Google Drive on your mobile device. Basically, if you look at any of these articles other than the Android one, it will say it's not supported. Also check the Docs blog for updates about Google Drive and Google Docs. This is the place that will announce when Drive is totally taking over as the default tool. I don't see any questions coming in. Rachel, do you see any questions?
I don't see any either.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us today, and we will probably be doing more webinars about Google Drive as with most things that Google releases. They release Google Drive and then changes come out in an iterative process. So as new changes are made, we will talk about that. But we encourage you to experiment with Google Drive, try it out, and remember you can always switch back to Google Docs if you're not ready for Google Drive yet. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks, Susan. Thanks, everyone.